Hi YouTube, this is Sex Talk. I'm Tracy Cox and today I'm going to tackle the difficult topic of ending a relationship with someone you actually really like and don't want to hurt. Because while ditching the guy you've just caught in bed with your best friend is, well, not difficult, ditching a guy who's been a wonderful boyfriend but one you just can't seem to fall for is quite another thing. I'm going to suggest some ways to handle it with sensitivity and kindness. Now, there are ways to kick someone out kindly. Sorry, but my gynecologist agrees with me, your penis is just too big, would work wonderfully well on most men if only they'd believe it. Sorry, but you're just so beautiful, I can't bear everyone gazing at you, would do the trick for most women. Telling someone you don't love them anymore must be done face to face. It's necessary for the person to see you saying the words "it's over" so they can have some sense of closure. Your feelings are secondary in this situation. The idea is to make it as painless as possible for them. So for this reason, do the deed as soon as you're sure it's finished. Don't wait for their permission to leave. It's normal to feel upset at the prospect of hurting them, but staying until you think they're ready isn't helping either of you. Women are particularly bad at getting out of relationships because we hate hurting anyone. And look, you will feel guilty and like a bitch with a capital B while you're telling him. But leading someone on is even more cruel. And what is the alternative? You don't want to share your denture glass with this guy or even another Saturday night fobbing him off. So let's get to it, and here is your action plan. Now work out exactly what you're going to say beforehand. Be honest with yourself about the reasons and then work out a way to say it tactfully. Sometimes that's easy. If you're constantly arguing, it's fairly easy to say, look, we're clearly not matched, it's no one's fault, but we seem to press each other's buttons for some reason. Why not quit while we're ahead and maybe we can be friends? Much harder are the I love him but don't fancy him scenarios. Saying I love you like a brother does not go down well, believe me. Saying something like I love you but I'm not ready for a relationship because I'm too young, too ambitious, want to travel the world is sometimes much kinder. Now, once you've sorted the wording, set a date of when you intend delivering your speech and make it sooner rather than later, and then resist the urge to soften the blow. Now, one reason why you need to put the plan into action pronto is that you'll end up mothering the guy because you know what's coming. You say, you really are sweet, you know. Any girl that ends up with you would be very lucky, thinking you're sending him a clear warning signal because it's obvious that girl's not going to be you. He thinks the opposite, she must want a commitment. So play it cool, act offhand, don't be too nice. Do whatever it takes to get the message across to him that you are not happy. In other words, make sure he's had at least a few days, if you can manage it a few weeks, warning that he's about to be dumped. Now choose your time on D-Day, then sit him down and deliver the speech. Now most men react one of two ways to a dumping. They gaze at you with a hurt, glazed expression on their face, listen to what you have to say, then leave without saying much at all. Or they get angry and accuse you of all sorts. Now, if he is the angry type and you're worried he'll become violent, do it in a public place with a male friend sitting outside in the car. Move in with friends or family for as long as you think it will take for him to calm down and for you to be safe. If he didn't say much, call him after a few hours or the next day. Women think on their feet and tend to ask the but why questions there and then. We're more in touch with our emotions and used to expressing them instantly. Now, he may not be as articulate as you, or he may be in shock. He probably only heard half of what you said because I can't believe she's doing this took over his brain. It could take a few hours to sink in, and often he'll call you then or the next day to find out the whys. If he doesn't, and he didn't say much when you delivered your speech, you call him. Ask him if he's okay and if there's anything he doesn't understand. If he doesn't want to talk and tells you to take a flying leap, fine, but he might need to know some answers and could be too proud to pick up the phone. Now, if you get on well with his friends, consider calling one of them. There's no need to go into details. Just say, look, I thought you should know, I've just broken it off with him and he might need a bit of cheering up. Now, in an ideal world, that would be that. You'd both run into each other in a few weeks' time, it would be awkward for a minute or two, and then you'd both end up fast friends. Sadly, most breakups don't end so smoothly. While some people are out of your life before you've even finished reading the riot act, others have real problems accepting that it's over, and you end up having to deliver the goodbye speech over and over and over again. If this happens, help them get some closure by doing the following. Refuse to feel guilty. It is not a criminal offence to fall out of love with someone. Stop being their girlfriend. If you really like the person, it's natural to want to help them when you can see they're hurting. You can't. After all, it's you they're trying to forget. You can't help them get over you. It doesn't work like that. Don't solve their problems after you've left. It's not your job, and it's perpetuating their dependence on you. Stop seeing them if there's absolutely no chance of a reconciliation. That harmless coffee just to check they're okay will actually set them back months. If it was serious, wait a year or so after the break to suggest friendship. If it was semi-serious, wait at least 3 months. Also beware of manufactured excuses to see you. If they're desperate, they will come up with all sorts of imaginative ways to get together and play on your guilt to force you to turn up. Don't give them hope. Be cruel to be kind. Tell them that you don't love them and you're not going to change your mind. Do all this and eventually the penny will drop and reality will set in. Which leads me to my final point. Don't become one of those people who don't want their ex but don't want anyone else to have them either. If they do recover quickly and fall for someone else, smile sweetly and be happy for them. You were the one that ended it after all. Dumping someone is never pleasant, but hopefully this will help make it easier for you. This is Sex Talk. I'm Tracy Cox, and today I'm going to talk about how to get through a breakup. Now, getting through the next 30 seconds seems impossible when someone's put your heart through a mincer, but you will get through the next minute and the next hour and the next day and the next year. This day-by-day, week-by-week guide will tell you how it's done. It's optimistic, but deliberately so. It's not just designed to give you practical advice on how to get through, it's designed to give you hope. It's just happened, you're in shock. First thing to do is get on the phone as quickly as possible the minute he walks out the door. Call your closest friend, your mum, anyone who will understand, and ask them to come over immediately. While they're hot-footing it to your house, call another friend and don't put the receiver down until the doorbell rings. Then and only then you're allowed to lose it completely. Cry, beat the wall, cling on to your friend for dear life, but let out as much grief as possible. Pour out the whole sad, sorry tale over and over again until they not only know what happened, they're actually living it with you. Keep going until you can't analyse it any further or your friend falls asleep. And if they can't stay with you, let them bundle you up and take you to their house. Tonight is not the night to be alone. On day 2, the first thing you realise when you open your eyes is that you can't. They're actually swollen shut from so much crying. Reality hits and instant tears again. It hits with full force. He's gone and you're alone. Day 2, sorry about this guys, it's even worse than day 1. So aim to simply get through it. If it's the weekend, spend the day repeating the story for the 45th time to a friend, any friend. You'll feel raw, miserable and so sorry for yourself, it's not funny. So surround yourself with people who care. It's wallow in it day, so don't feel guilty about dominating the conversation totally and not having cleaned your teeth for 24 hours. The only no-no today, don't call him and don't persuade your friends to call him either. Resist the urge to park outside his house, do a drive-by or turn up at his best friend's hoping for some inside info. Make a pact with yourself that you can call him in 1 week if you still need to and get a friend to help you stick to it. If it's a work day, get on, put your makeup on and get out that door. You will be tempted to call in sick and pull the bedclothes over your head, but you're not doing yourself any favours. Distraction is your friend. So if you feel so traumatised you honestly can't make it, call in sick, but get yourself to a friend's house. Don't stay at home alone. Another good trick is to leave the telly on constantly in the background. The voices make it seem like someone is with you all the time and it can be quite comforting. Before you go to sleep, tell yourself, I'm okay, I'm just upset. I will get through this. I survived today, didn't I? Now, day 3 is toughen up day. I'm being cruel, humour me anyway and give it a go. You've got nothing to lose except a day feeling powerless. Now, today it's time for some action. I want you to gather up all of those relationship reminders and put them out of sight. That's right. Books, cards, letters, photographs, CDs with your song on them, cute little notes, anything at all which connects them to you. Now, if everything does, perhaps you better wait a week, but put it all in a bin bag and either throw it all out or give it to a friend to look after or shove it in the back of a cupboard where you can't get to it without a huge effort. Wash the sheets and towels, yes you must, and then go through your diary and cancel any events where you're bound to run into each other. Stay away from all your old haunts. Avoid anything at all that reminds you of your ex. Why? Because you really are kidding yourself if you think lying around listening to your song and rereading old love letters is going to help you heal or magically get them back. It won't. In fact, if there honestly is any hope of a reconciliation, seeing you get on with your life is far more likely to do it. It's been proven over and over again. Act like you don't need them, even if you want them, and they may well realise they want you too. It's a win-win situation. You're not only upping your chances of getting back together, you're upping your chances of happily getting on with your life if they don't. From now on, you're only allowed 5 minutes crying time a day. Yep, it sounds bizarre, but I want you to try really hard to hold it all in until you're allowed to let it out. Schedule a time, and once the floodgates open, set a timer, because in 5 minutes, you have to stop and reward yourself. Follow every crying session with something that makes you feel good. So slap on a face mask, have a bubble bath reading your favourite mag, chocolate, whatever. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, I can't stop crying for 5 minutes, let alone restrict it to that, get yourself an emergency appointment with a good counsellor. Keep as busy as possible and don't stare at the phone, because let's be logical here. If the former love of your life suddenly decides they want to live forever in your pocket, they're not going to give up if you don't answer when they call. If they do leave a message and are calling to see how you are, don't return the call. Talking with them will accomplish nothing. Call a friend and ask them to relay a message. You're hurting, but you're okay, and you don't want to hear from them for a little while. Now, by day 4, you're still utterly miserable, but more in a depressed than out of control way. So keep surrounding yourself with understanding friends and protect your heart. No soppy songs, movies, novels, and don't be surprised if all this heartache has made you remember how bloody awful you felt when you split with another ex. You got over them, maybe, just maybe, you'll survive this one too. Day 5, and today you officially take back control of your life by doing some spring cleaning. Turn the music up full blast, that's boppy music, not sad stuff, and empty all the cupboards and throw out or donate anything useless or stuff you haven't worn or used in the last 2 years. Rearrange the furniture. Make a list of things to buy that'll brighten up the place. You've just started on the kitchen and it's midnight already. Who cares? You're not sleeping that well anyway. You might as well completely exhaust yourself and have something to show for it in the morning other than knotted sheets. By day 6, you'll still be feeling terrible, but you should have a little perspective on the situation. You did some physical spring cleaning yesterday. Today we're going to do some emotional spring cleaning. Now, the best strategy to accept someone is gone is to collect as much evidence as possible to prove they weren't as fabulous as you thought. Now, I'm not being nasty or vengeful, just realistic. After all, if they were that perfect for you, they wouldn't have dumped you in the first place. There were obviously areas where you didn't see eye to eye and things you didn't like about them. They were human, weren't they? What I want you to do is make 2 lists. Get a friend to help you write down everything great about yourself, all your successes and achievements. You're a great friend, you're popular, a terrific listener, your family adore you. Anything and everything that's great about yourself. List 2, set to work on your ex. Now, it doesn't matter how much you did or do love them, no one is perfect, not even them. Write down every single flaw and weakness you can think of, and every time a friend calls, ask them to help you add to the list, but make sure you explain your motives, because friends will be suspicious if you ask them to bag the person because they're worried you'll use it against them if the two of you get back together. So just explain that it's something you want to do to support you right now, and you'll be amazed at what nasties they'll come up with. Look at yourself in the mirror every morning and evening and say to yourself, it's over, they're not coming back, I will survive. Keep on doing this until you can look yourself straight in the eye, speak confidently, and believe it. Get out your phone and spend the day calling all the people you've neglected during your relationship. Prepare what you're going to say when they ask about your ex. A simple, it didn't work out is fine. Now make dates with everyone until your diary looks satisfyingly full. Give opposite sex friends preference. They'll give you the ego boost you need, but be careful with other exes. It is extremely tempting to convince yourself they really were the one when you're feeling vulnerable and lonely. Now, I wouldn't accept invitations to go out and party just yet. You're still too raw. Instead, plan evenings with good friends and happy couples. No, you won't look at them and feel envious. You'll see living evidence of people who've been through what you're going through and had the courage to fall in love again. Ask them separately to recount the details of their past breakups, how they never thought they'd love again, but here they are doing just that. Ask yourself this: do I honestly believe I'm not going to meet anyone else ever again? Here you were thinking you couldn't make it through a minute and you survived an entire week. A shred of self-respect should be resurfacing, and you're able to spend half an hour on your own without feeling suicidal. Now's the time to cut the umbilical cord completely. Ask mutual friends not to report back every piece of gossip about your ex, and vice versa. Don't spend your life trying to find out about theirs. If they're depressed, it'll give you false hope. If they're out dancing till dawn, your ego will take another dive. Beware of friends who encourage you to believe your ex will wake up to themselves and come back. They are not actually doing you any favours, just trying to make you feel better. If your ex seriously does think they've made a mistake, they'll call you themselves. So don't believe it unless the words come out of their mouth. On the subject of friends, remember they actually have lives too. Make sure they know how much you've appreciated their support and putting up with you knocking on the door at 3 a.m. and phoning 65 million times an hour. It's okay if your conversations are still largely dominated by your breakup, but make an effort to spend even a quarter of it asking about them. Time now to make sense of the thoughts and theories about the split that are whizzing around in your brain. Now, if you have a good friend whose judgment you trust implicitly, ask them to help you diagnose the breakup so you can learn from the experience. Encourage them to be brutally honest and take whatever they say on the chin. If they know you well, there's at least a grain of truth in their theories. Now, if you have a history of bad relationships, consider seeing a counsellor for a few sessions. Don't be surprised if sadness starts being replaced by anger. White hot, good job you don't own a gun type of anger. By all means, fantasize about taking revenge, but don't do it. Instead, get rid of the anger in a constructive way. Run, join a gym, take on extra work, get stuck into the garden, just do something. Now, by now, a certain amount of logic should be creeping in. Even if your ex came back, could you trust them not to leave you again? Your brain's exhausted from diagnosing and dissecting the breakup, and quite frankly, you're a bit sick of thinking about it. You stop taking all the blame for the split and you realise it's rarely, if ever, one person's fault. Your friends stop worrying you're about to jump off a bridge and they actually start calling less. Their eyes start to glaze over when you mention your ex's name. By week 3, you're forced to spend nights alone and you should feel okay about it. Not great, just okay. You still feel an overwhelming sense of loneliness and still wonder for the 600th time what they're doing at that moment, but it shouldn't be the focus of your existence. If it is, again, get yourself along to see a counsellor. Week 4 and you realise life goes on. You're surviving without them, your heart is mending, but this makes you feel despondent rather than satisfied. True love? Yeah, right. forced to watch a soppy film, you scoff at the romantic bits, and your friends accuse you of being cynical. You are, but that's normal. We all lose faith for a little while. If you're feeling depressed and unmotivated, take a good look at your health. You've probably been eating little and grabbing takeaways when you do. So resolve to eat healthily, cut back on the alcohol and sugar, and get a solid 8 hours sleep a night. The better you feel physically, the better you'll be able to cope emotionally. Now, if you find you can't stop thinking about your ex, try some aversion therapy. Put an elastic band around your wrist and flick it each time you think about them. You'll literally snap yourself out of it because it hurts. Your brain will start to associate thoughts of your ex with physical pain and subconsciously stop you thinking about them. When you flick the elastic band, say to yourself, I don't need you, I have my own life, I'm over you. Over the next month, take a long look at yourself in the mirror. Are you happy with your appearance, your image and your wardrobe? The sort of person you are? If not, do something about it. Indulge in a personal trainer. Get a friend with great dress sense to help you shop for new clothes. Treat yourself to a course of massages and get a professional to get rid of the tension of the last few weeks. Work on areas you'd like to change. Start being a better friend. Work harder. Take some evening courses. Get back in touch with your sexual side as well. Start masturbating again if you've stopped. Once your libido kicks back in, you'll find yourself checking out others in the gym, on the street, in your office, even if your heart and brain aren't interested in following through. Now, don't panic if all your memories of your ex are good ones. Blame your brain. We idealize past relationships because our brains are programmed to throw up pleasant memories rather than painful ones. It's an instinct which usually works in our favor to keep us as happy as possible, but not in this case. Beat it by consciously dragging up a really unhappy, unpleasant memory about the two of you every time your brain throws up a good one. It puts things into perspective and helps ease the pain. Now, don't panic too much if you're still having the odd dreamy daydream about your ex months and months later. It is natural to think fondly of your last lover if you're still a bit lonely single. Now, 2 months on, you still miss your ex, but wonder if it's more the relationship you miss than the person. Congratulations, this means you're healing nicely. And just think, while the breakup was just awful, there is one advantage to breaking up. You get to go through that delicious falling in love stage all over again.